Healing begins the moment you choose yourself. Welcome to Rise Up and Heal. I'm Annie, your host. Just a trigger warning, this podcast explores themes of toxic relationships, emotional abuse, trauma, and healing. So some content may be confronting or bring up personal memories or emotions. So please listen with care and take breaks if need, but more importantly, please take after yourself because your well-being comes first. In today's episode, I sit down with Frank. Frank Clayton is a licensed mental health therapist, speaker, author, and creator of Happiness 101 course. He is known as the Happiest Therapist. Frank's journey to happiness was anything but easy. Raised in a chaotic home marked by addiction, abandonment, and painful childhood experiences, Frank spent years overcoming the messages and obstacles that shaped his early life. Today, Frank helps others rewrite their own stories through positive psychology, resilience, and personal growth. So, drawing from both professional expertise and lived experience, Frank teaches practical tools that help people move beyond survival and create lives filled with greater happiness, optimism, and purpose. Frank, welcome to Rise Up and Heal. Thank you ever so much for being on the show. Now I'm starting to lose my voice. Could you please share your story with us? Thank you once again.
Well, thanks for having me, Annie. This is a real honor and a treat. And I was like, oh, I get to talk to Annie today. So it's a
Love
good
it.
day. It's a
It's a
good
great
day.
day.
Yeah, it's blue skies here in Salt Lake City, and it's nice and warm. And I'm vertical. I got my health. It's a good day.
It is a great day. It really is. So, Frank, are you able to share your story with us today, please?
Sure, sure. So I I guess I'll try. I want to spend more time talking about the rising up part and the resilience part. But I think to give it some context, I think telling some of the background might be helpful because I think that, when people meet me, I think that they almost see me sometimes as two-dimensionally. They think, oh, he's probably never had a tough day in his life. And boy, that's really not true at all.
Yeah.
And so to give some background, knowing what I know about positive psychology, I really have to even go back before I was even born because my genetics are awful. A lot of depression and actually I was born with fetal alcohol syndrome.
Wow.
So because my mom continued to drink in utero. So um, and yeah, depression is rampant on both sides of the family. So that's what I inherited. So if you're just going by that, I should be miserable. But knowing what I know about positive psychology, you know, I am the happiest therapist because partially because of my genetics, like I want to know every trick. I want to know every hack, every little thing that I can do to make the most of what I can control because I can't change my genetics. So, so when I met my wife, she says, "Tell me about your parents." And I said, "Well, my mom's the alcoholic and my dad's a jacked up one." If
Right.
that gives you an idea.
Yeah.
Um, my dad was very mean. I was an unwanted pregnancy, and he let me know that. And he um, he was really scary just as a person. He's the kind of guy that if you walked in the room with him, you just, you'd start,
Okay.
you'd have that vibe. And there was, um, well, an accident. when he was 17, and he accidentally, I'll explain the air quotes in a second, but he accidentally killed his childhood sweetheart with a shotgun.
Oh,
Yeah. And so I say air quotes because, and this is even my mom. My mom was like, well, it was deemed an accident, but knowing how he is, I don't know. So that's kind of the setting of what kind of,
wow.
person that he was. And my mom kept me real close when I was young. I think because she knew like that he was dangerous. And so I was terrified of him. And he was very mean to me. And that's not just my subjective understanding of it. Like family members and whatnot, they're like, what is going on with him? Like, why does he treat Frank like that?
Yeah.
Well, they called me Frankie when I was a kid. Anyway, so my mom protected me until I, my childhood, I have a really hard time understanding the timeline. But as best I can tell, I was probably about 6 or 7, and my mom left.
Oh,
And she left me with the monster.
wow.
And then after a few months, she came back
Okay.
and she said, I'm so, so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. I'll never leave again. And then she left again.
Oh, mm,
And she came back and I promise I'll never do it again. And then she left again. Now I'm going to give you a number. And this is my mom's number. This is a number that my mom gave me when I was an adult. And evidently, she counted up how many times that she did this. So from the time she did it the first time to the time I left when I was 17, she did that 52 times,
oh, Frank. Wow. Wow.
right?
Wow. Yeah.
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 So, I mean, if a person, I mean, I think if two people gathered around a planning table, they couldn't have messed up a person's trust more than these two people.
Yeah. 100%.
Um, actually, I'll let you do dealer's choice. Do you want to hear the blood story or the axe story?
Oh my goodness. Well, oh, well, let's go with the axe story, shall we?
Okay. So, when I was a kid, I was, well, I'll tell you what my subjective experience was, and then I'll give you the background.
Okay.
So, I really survived best by just trying to disappear. Like I would even hold my breath. I would try to
Wow.
hide without hiding and just stay out of his vision. But one day I come home and he says, come here, like that, the kind that just like brings chills. And my mom, this was one of the times that my mom was not there. And so he takes me out into the backyard and I have no idea what's going on. And this one, I would say, if I had to guess, I'd say I was probably around 10, maybe, and maybe younger. Anyway, so on our way out the door, he picks up an axe. And knowing his background, that he killed that girl, um, I'm like, that's it. I'm dead. And he takes me out into the backyard and it's kind of like I went blind in a way. It was like all I could see with it was the axe. Like everything else just kind of whoa, it just kind of went away. And I was frozen. I absolutely just terrified and I just couldn't move. And then he raised the axe up and I remember, because again, it was kind of all I could look at. And I remember as he raised the axe up that the sun was like behind the axe and it was just like this crystallized moment where I was absolutely sure I was going to die. And so he brings the axe head down, and it didn't go into the top of my head like I envisioned. Instead, it went into the middle of my big wheel. Now, a big wheel is kind of like a very low tricycle, and it's made out of plastic.
Right. Yeah.
And I love that thing. I rode it all the time. It was one of my escapes. And so I was on it like every chance I got, but they would never let me leave the block because, we lived near a busy street and whatnot. What had happened is that I was riding my big wheel on the back side of our street, and I hit this girl and I knocked her down by accident. It was one of those things where we saw that we were going to collide and we both moved in the wrong direction at the same time. And so I hit her and I knocked her down, and she went into her house crying. And I knocked on the door and I was trying to apologize, but nobody answered. And I didn't know what to do. I mean, she wasn't seriously hurt, but like,
Yeah.
I knocked her down. And so, after a while, I just totally forgot about it. Well, evidently, her parents had contacted my dad, and that's how he dealt with it, was by chopping up my big wheel in front of me.
Oh, Frank. Wow.
So,
You know what also strikes me with this story? I mean, it's mortifying. It is mortifying. But even in your environment at such a young age, that you were showing empathy and compassion and going in to this girl's house and knocking on the door because you're wanting to make sure that she's okay.
mhm.
Like that speaks volumes about you
No, thank
because
you.
it really does. Because I mean, you could have absolutely have, especially being in the environment that you grew up in, you
Mhm,
absolutely could have continued that cycle because that's what you were seeing. That's what you were learning. That's what you
mhm,
knew.
mhm.
But even
Yeah,
then, even with everything that was going on and the chaos, I mean, chaos just, the word sounds so light compared to what you've been through.
yeah,
That
yeah,
with having, your mum in and out and leaving you, especially with this person who is actually meant to be caring for you and meant to be looking after you, has put you in this situation. And yet here you are at such a young age, still showing compassion and empathy for others.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. That
I,
itself
actually,
is
I
huge.
think that's one of the reasons that he hated me is because I was very kind and loving,
Yeah.
and you could say soft.
Yeah.
And he thought that he needed to toughen me up. And so, yeah, but that brought some contention between he and my mom because she was trying to protect me from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But then, as you said, like she kept coming home and then leaving and coming home and leaving, and so as she did that more and more, I took on more and more of the household duties. So I was doing all the cleaning, all the cooking, the laundry. I was even doing the shopping. I
Wow.
would ride my bike to the grocery store, fill the basket, and then call my dad on a payphone, and he'd come and write the check, and I'd throw my bike in the back of the truck, and we're on our way. So as I got older, he would say things like, "You're my right-hand man," and stuff like that. Um, but I never perceived that he liked me. He liked what I was doing for him.
Yeah.
And and so as I got older, he started relying on me and leaning on me more and more. And as my mom came and left so much, he got more and more depressed and suicidal. So I remember he would openly tell me these fantasies about how he was going to kill himself and nobody's going to find the body and all that kind of stuff. Like he fancied himself kind of an inventor, so I think he wanted to have some sort of a contraption where he could die and like nobody would find him. And the thing that's alarming about that, I don't think I'm overstating it, is that he was the stable one,
Yeah, wow.
right? My mom is the one that's coming and going and coming and going, and say whatever else you want to say about his parenting. At least he never left.
No, this is true. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
there.
And
Yeah.
then here he is fantasizing about offing himself. So
And sharing
um
that with you. Wow.
so I got out when I was 17. I went and I lived with a lady that was renting out rooms. And honestly, Annie, it was so much easier. I was like, what? I only have to earn enough money to pay my rent and take care of myself. You
Yeah.
know, I see some 17, 18-year-olds now and they're in a panic, like, I don't know how to do this. And because I had had so much responsibility heaped on me, I was like, this is cake. So
Yeah.
that was one of the benefits. Um, so I went into the army and I started doing therapy and learned a lot about myself and got better and got better. And I married, um, well, I married my first wife, but it didn't last very long. And we had a child together. And my second wife, Debbie, she was really, really, really supportive. She's, you can do anything and all that. And so as I healed, I got to a point where I was like, hey, I think I want to be a therapist.
Yeah.
But I was still really holding on to my sad story. I would tell my sad story to like anybody. Um, and then one of Debbie's friends, her name was Marcia Joy, she said, I was telling her, once again, I'm telling my sad story. And she says, do you think you picked your parents? And I was outraged. I was like, have you been listening to anything I said? Are you insane? Like, what is, no, nobody would pick these two people as their parents.
Yeah.
And I said, and then she seemingly changed the subject and said, I've heard that you want to become a therapist. I'm like, yes, I do. And she said, well, do you want to be a good therapist? I said, I mean, in for a penny, of course. If I'm going to do this, let's do it. And she said, could you see yourself hanging out with the angels before you were born? And they say, Frank, you've got this whole life ahead of you. What do you want to do with this life? Could you see yourself saying you want to be a therapist? I was like, yeah, I really feel like that this is what I'm supposed to do. And she said, could you see the angels saying, well, Frank, do you want to be a good therapist? Same thing I said to Marcia. Yeah, of course. If I'm going to be a therapist, let's do it all the way. Could you see the angels saying to you, you could see her warming up to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, could you see the angels saying, well, Frank, if you want to be a good therapist, a really good therapist, you got to go through the fire.
Mm-hmm.
You got to, sorry, you got to know depression. You got to know anxiety. You got to know pain.
Yeah.
You got to know abuse. And I know the whole thing was hypothetical, but this is one of those moments that everything just shifted. And I could actually see myself picking those two people as my parents and going through all of it. And I told you the axe story, but like Annie, it wasn't really the acts, the horrible moments. It was the day to day. It
Yeah.
was the constant tension of just being around him
Yeah.
that unless you've been through it, like you just don't really get
Well,
how hard that is to be around.
yeah, because you're continually walking on eggshells. You don't ever know what you're walking into. So you are in survival mode the whole time.
Yeah,
That's what you're in.
yeah,
And and you didn't really, I mean, look, okay, as a young child, maybe you could have ran away from home, maybe you could have, but you know what? Like you said, he was the constant. Even though it was horrific, even though you're walking on eggshells, he was the constant who was there. And
right.
the thing is, it's so interesting that you say this about your friend. It was Marsha, where she,
Marcia.
yeah, that where you said about you choose your parents, because I know with my training with Louise Hay says her same belief, you choose your parents. And it's like, what? What are you talking about? So I know when you're saying, why would I do that? But
Yeah,
this is the beautiful thing in everything that has been so horrendous, and that's the only word I can come up with for your story. The fact is that you still turned it around, that you still went, you know what? I want to be a therapist and I want to be able to help people. And I'm going to do this and I'm going to heal myself and I'm going to take the things that I have learned and I'm putting them in into action. And you have done that. I mean, even you said yourself at 17 years of age, you moved out of home. Most, like you said, 18, 17, 18 year olds are like, okay, oh, they're stressing out about money and that. But you're like, oh, so I've only got to pay my rent, I've only got to pay my bills. Cool. Piece of cake, walk in the park. Like, I've got this. And so, as awful, and that's the only, like, it's just awful. Your story gives me chills. But here are these skills that you have learned along the way, along with the beautiful kindness and the compassion that you have, this empathic nature to go and do what you have done. I mean, wow, Frank, like, whew, that's just really, it's so beautiful. And
well, thank you. Yeah,
this is what I love about the Rise Up and Heal. It's really about looking at your story and that you have truly rising up, like you have risen up throughout all of this adversity that you faced on a day-to-day basis. Like as a little kid, like honestly, like I'm a mum. And I just honestly, I can't even begin to, do you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
just to, yeah, like wow, wow,
Oh,
hun, wow.
here's one for you. Okay, get the Kleenex. So when I was about when I was well, my dad died when I was about I think 24, 25, somewhere in there. And I went to my mom and I asked her a really hard question. I said, "Why did you keep leaving me?" And because I mean, talk about abandonment issues. Whew.
Oh, absolutely. I
You
mean, at
know,
the end of the
and
day, the
so
trust is gone.
I asked her the hard question and she said, your father told me that if I ever left and took you kids with me, that he'd kill me and kill both of you.
Oh,
So wait, this is the one. Get the Kleenex.
oh,
She
gee.
said, I wasn't leaving you. I was leaving him. I came back to you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I wonder how many people listening to this podcast is like you come into like one piece of information like that, and everything that you thought was one way is another.
Yeah. There's always, I guess there's always a reason as to why people do what they do. And I mean, for your mom, I can understand her not wanting to be in that environment and how her own safety and security was completely jeopardized. And I understand that, and I can empathize with that. It would be very scary to, I mean, she's living in fear the whole time. And it would be very scary because she is very well aware of what this person is capable of. And she fully did believe that if she had have taken you with her, that you all your lives would have ended. Doesn't mean to say it's right, doesn't mean to say that it's okay, but hearing that from her, I feel gives another perspective of the story.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
So positive psychology, well, psychology and positive psychology really, really has helped me because um, we only have very limited control in this world. And focusing on the things that we can control and our beliefs is one of those things. And that includes what you believe about yourself.
100%.
So no matter what anybody else has to say about it, it can only cut through if you endorse it,
Yeah.
right? If I say, oh, you're such a loser, and you start feeling that awfulness, but you can either sign that and say, oh, yeah, you're right, I'm a loser. Or you could say, no, 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 no. This is my belief system. You don't get to tell me who I am. That's one of the few freedoms. Even if you're in a Nazi concentration camp, you still have the freedom to decide who you are. And so that
Absolutely.
would be one message that I would love to tell people is like, you get to decide that. You get to decide that. You get to decide who you are.
Yeah. 100%.
So I do want to, if I could, for a moment, because here, at least in the States, there's a lot going on, and I don't want to get into a bunch of political talk, but
Yeah.
and I'm very, very concerned about our next generation. And so positive psychology is all about happiness, but the other part of that is it's also about optimism and resilience. And so I was starting to feel depressed and helpless with everything that's going on. And I was like, well, what can I do? What can I do? And then I was like, I've got like hours and hours and hours of information on positive. I did a webinar one time, and I realized that because it's pretty much just you and a mic.
Yeah.
And I realized afterwards I talked for 16 hours
Oh, wow.
because it was 8 classes, 2 hours a pop. I was like, wow, I can talk a lot about positive psychology. And so I've got all this information. So I said, well, what can I do? And so I wrote this children's book called Positives, which is using positive psychology. And it has one of the really important exercises in it from positive psychology that's been scientifically proven to work. And so my hope is that when, okay, I'm going to lay a little geek out just a tiny bit, don't worry.
Go for it.
Um,
Love
but
it.
and again, this is science. If you want to look it up, it's Nicholas Christakis and what he did with the Framingham Heart Study. Anyway, they found scientifically that when one person becomes happier, it has the same effect as a virus. It has this ripple effect, so that when one person becomes happier, it affects or maybe infects up to 1,000 people. So if I can get this into the school system,
Oh,
even
wonderful.
one class of 30 kids, because here in the States, it's about average about 30 kids,
Yeah.
that would potentially be affecting 30,000 people. And so this is not about Frank. This isn't about, oh, look at me. This is way bigger than that.
Yeah.
This is about trying to help the children and the adults, actually, because there's a special page in here for the adults that talks about um, the positive psychology that's in the book. And most of the time, the parent is or the caregiver is going to be reading it. And so the parent is reading it to the child. That's two people. So that's 2,000 people,
Yeah. That's so cool.
right?
You know what? You are just amazing. You
Oh,
really
thank
are. No,
you.
honestly, like, oh my goodness. Like, what a story and how you are doing what you are doing. I mean, I know that you have clients and that you are helping and changing your clients' lives. But I also love how, like you said, this is so much bigger. And it's about now bringing this out because, what is the next generation? What are they going to be facing? Where are they in all of this? And here
Mhm.
you are creating this book that is, you're 100% right. We take on so many stories and beliefs about ourselves, and it's right from childhood about, you know, we're not good enough, or we're not worthy enough, or we're not deserving enough. And it's like you said, as you get older, it's like, well, you know what? Is that really true? Like, is that really, really true? And the other thing
Mhm.
I always share with my clients when I'm working with them, and I'll say to them, because they'll say, if they've got situations that are going on and somebody's not being, I guess, as nice to them, and it's like, but these people only see this much a part of you. They only know maybe this much of your story. They don't really know who you are. And
Yeah.
this is the beautiful thing with life and with human nature. We get to evolve so many different times. Like we get to rewrite our own story
Yeah.
over and over and over again. So I love when you say that, you know what? Rewrite your story because you can change those beliefs. Nobody has got the power over you as to how you think. And that's exactly Louise Hay's teaching as well. You have that
Yeah.
power.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean to say it's true.
I mean, you think about it, the human body regenerates every 7 years. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did.
That our bones, all of our organs, everything is new. It is replaced by new cells every 7 years. And you're hanging on to something that happened 20 years ago?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just realized I forgot to talk about post-traumatic growth.
Well, let's quickly talk about that because that's
Okay.
so
Well, because
interesting.
that's I only learned, and I've been studying positive psychology for like 16, 17 years. And
Yeah,
I only found out about post-traumatic growth only about 2 years ago.
yeah,
And so post-traumatic growth is when you go through something really, really difficult. And this is not putting a plastic smiley face over it and acting like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Like really traumatic things. And and ultimately you're better for it, right? That you can find out how strong you are. You can find out who people that actually support you. You can learn to ask for help. There's actually a lot of things that can go into that. And when I found out about post-traumatic growth, I was like, that's what I've done.
yeah.
I've taken
Absolutely.
all of that trauma and I've taken it and not put a plastic smiley face over it, not say, oh, like it wasn't a big deal, but take that and like use that as fuel
Yeah,
because like the people that survived the Nazi concentration camps, there were some people that came out of that and were understandably like depressed, anxious, etc.
yeah,
And there were other people that came through that and they said, you know what? Every day that I don't have to eat bugs to survive is a good day. And I'm going to live this life to the fullest.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. And that's it. It comes down to choice. And that is the thing. And that's what I love doing what I'm doing, because healing, comes the moment that you choose yourself. And it's
Yeah,
choosing yourself over and over again. And there are moments where, you know, it can be so hard and it can be so challenging, but it is continually going back to you and choosing you. So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And why wouldn't you, right? Why would you?
absolutely.
It's
Exactly.
like if you were treated wrong and abused and now you're out, like why would you pick up the stick that they beat you with and now you're beating yourself with it?
Yeah.
Like you should be that much more caring and loving and compassionate toward yourself
Yeah.
because you went through all that.
Absolutely. And I think that's probably one of the biggest and I think the most hardest thing that people also face too is forgiving yourself. Really
Yeah.
looking at it all and forgiving yourself in the sense
Right.
that, of being in those situations. And yeah,
Yeah.
I only know what you
I
know at that particular point in time.
yeah, I had a client that he did something when he was like 15 that he just couldn't forgive himself for.
Yeah.
And I said it like this. I said, murderers have been convicted and gone to jail and paid their debt to society and gotten out in less time.
Yeah.
Can we just say sentence served? Like time served, man. Like
Yeah. Exactly. 100%. And you're right. Absolutely. Exactly. Why do we have to hang on to something? And like you said, it happened 20 years ago, yet we're still serving the life sentence. You don't need to.
right.
You do not need to at
Well,
all.
well, in my mind, it's like, okay, you did something terrible. Don't just brush it off. Really delve into it, dig
Absolutely.
into
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and understand why did I do it?
Yeah.
Learn the lesson, and then just don't do it again.
A- Absolutely. And it really is too, it's really pulling back those layers and going, okay, I did this, all right. What was the trigger point? Looking at potentially what the trigger was, but then it's looking in that and going, well, what was driving you? What was going on at that particular point in time that was driving you? And then when you look at that, so for example, it might have been attention. It could have been, okay, so if it was attention, then it's then going deeper than that. Well, why would you be doing that for attention? What is it within you? What is that pattern that
Right,
is getting you to do that? And then, that pattern could be people pleasing. So then it's like, oh, okay, here's a big pattern. But you're right.
right.
It's about going deeper and deeper and deeper. Because we're like, I'm just going to say it like, was it Donkey and Shrek? We're like onions. We got layers, like we're layers.
I love it. I
There
love
are
it.
so
Yeah.
many layers. So it's like just
Yeah.
keep peeling back the layers of the onion just to really get back. But the beautiful thing is once you start doing that and once you start really asking yourself those deeper questions and going through and I guess pulling yourself apart,
Hmm.
you really get to know who you are.
Hmm.
And that in itself is the most powerful thing and the most powerful gift you can ever give yourself. Because when people do come at you and people do say, oh, you're manipulative or you're this or you're that, that's when you can go, well, you know what? You might see that part of me because of you're looking at this much, but I actually know who I am and I know what space I'm coming from and I know who I am. And that's
Mm.
not true. That might be your perception, but that's actually not true.
Well, I know we're probably about out of time, but I okay, so I'll speak for myself.
Go for it.
So I am selfish
Mhm.
and I am selfless.
Yeah.
I'm both.
Yeah.
And I can accept my selfishness and my selflessness as part of
Yeah.
the human experience.
Yeah.
And so, because I can accept the selfishness in myself, I can accept the selfishness in you.
Yeah.
Because if we only accept I call it the bright, shiny, if you only accept the bright, shiny parts, well, even we have to even hide it from ourselves
Yeah.
about, oh, but I am lazy. Oh,
Yeah.
but I am selfish. I
Yeah.
am mean sometimes.
Yeah.
I have to I have to hide those from you and I have to hide them from myself. But if I can accept the totality of me,
Yeah.
I don't when you get to that point, you don't have to try to accept other people, you just do. Because
Yeah.
how can I be upset with you for doing whatever? It's like, well, I've done that.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm a good person. I don't think I'm a bad person, or I do think I'm a good person and I think I'm a bad person, but it all falls under the umbrella of just being a person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have moments of all of that, and that all falls under the umbrella of just being a human being.
Yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
why I can accept people so readily because I've come to a place of being able to accept myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you were to say, "Oh, Frank, you're so selfish," I'd be like, "Yep, I'm pretty good at it too."
Yep, I'll claim it. Yeah, 100%. But it really is. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the duality of everything. And we are human. We can be both sides of the coin. We absolutely
Right.
can be. And the other thing is, I always think in my own healing process is becoming friends with the monster. Like,
Hmm.
we do. We've all got that shadow. We've all got that darker side. And I
Hmm.
used to like to call it the monster in the cupboard. So
Hmm.
it's becoming friends with the monster in the cupboard and going, okay, let's get to know who you are because there's dark and there's light and we can be both
Right.
sides of the coin.
And even appreciating what these negative parts of our personality, what they bring to the table,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Absolutely.
Sometimes being mean is the right answer.
Yeah.
Not
Absolutely.
not very often. I'm
No.
not very good at that one.
No. No, conflict with me. I'm like, yeah, you can have that. But it is. There are so many different facets to who we are. And I really like, because I'll just share a little bit, is
Yeah.
Debbie Ford. She's
Oh,
yes,
yes. Dark Side of the Light Chasers.
yes. And her
Yes.
exercise of being imagining that you're on a bus. And we've
Yes.
all got these different sides of us. So,
Yes.
you might have, Happy Harry and you might have Jealous Josie and you might have Judge Judy and whoever, and they're all on the bus. But
Yeah.
it's sitting on the bus and just seeing who comes up and sits next to you on the bus. And then you get off the bus with this modality, this submodality of you, and have a
Yeah.
conversation with them and be like,
Yes.
okay, all right. So you're sitting in the park with Jealous Josie and going, okay, Jealous Josie, what is
Hmm.
it that you want me to know? What do
Yeah.
I need to know? What's the message? And just
Hmm.
giving yourself the time and space to let Jealous Josie speak her words. And
Hmm.
then Jealous Josie goes off, and you take that time to just really digress and look at that, and then hop back on the bus
Yeah.
and see who else rocks in.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Right. And being able to accept what she
yeah,
brings to the table. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Love Debbie Ford.
Oh, I think she's brilliant. She's absolutely
Uh-huh.
so yeah. But I love that exercise, and I use that with my clients. But I do that on myself. I'll be like, oh, okay, so we've got you know angry
Hmm.
angry Anderson's rocked up at the table. All right, what does angry Anderson want today? Like, so.
Hey, I really want to sincerely say thank you for doing these podcasts and doing doing your part in making the world a better place. I think what you're doing is really, really important, and I feel like your heart, you really have a heart for helping people. So I want to thank you so much for what you're doing.
Oh, I just want to say thank you for being so brave and courageous for sharing your story and just what a remarkable human that you are for not only sharing a story, but doing the work that you do and continually trying to strive and make it better, not just for the people within your own community, but globally as
Mhm.
well, especially the book that you have written. Like, I think that needs to be in every school around the globe, not just in America. Like it is
Yeah.
definitely something that needs to be taught in schools and to be really brought to the surface. So thank
Yeah.
you for the work that you do. Thank you so much for sharing your story, because
Thank you.
what a story and what a journey that you have been on. And I know that we could speak for hours upon hours because there's so many different things. But honestly, thank you.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it. It's an honor.
Thank you. Well, to those of you who are watching and listening, thank you ever so much for being a part of today's Rise Up and Heal episode, and for joining Frank and I as Frank has shared his journey. So, wherever you are in the world, I hope that you please take care of you. Know that you do have a choice to heal and that you are completely and totally worthy. So, thank you very much.